Hello everyone, thank you for tuning into my channel. Today I'm coming to you with some hair tips for this fall and this winter. Okay, so my first tip would be moisturize your hair often. I'm just gonna keep it real.
Thirsty hair is not cute, okay?
So you wanna make sure that you moisturize as needed. There's no need to go on a schedule of every 3 days or every 4 days. That is like ridiculous for cooler months. In the summer, you could probably get away with that every 3 to 4 days, depending on your hair, of course. For the fall and for the winter, if you feel like your hair needs to be moisturized every single day, that is totally fine. For some of you, you may even feel it needs to be moisturized twice a day. That is totally fine as well. I suggest moisturize every single day. If you find that after 3 days your hair feels really gummy, really sticky, and just feels like it's just over moisturized, then definitely give yourself a day in between. But the worst thing you can do is wait until your hair gets dry before you moisturize. It's better to beat it to the punch and moisturize it before it gets dry. Just kind of like how they say, you know, you want to hydrate your body, you want to eat right. You don't wait until you're starving to eat. You eat on some kind of schedule, you know, morning, noon, and night. Same thing with your hair. My next tip would be to Shea Butter it up. And what I mean by that is, if you're gonna be looking for a moisturizer for the fall and for the winter, Shea Butter is actually a good alternative, but I don't necessarily recommend raw Shea Butter, which tends to be very waxy and acts more as a sealant than it does as an actual moisturizer. I recommend Shea Butter based products like Shea Moisture Curl Enhancing Smoothie, the Super Duper or the Butter Love by Karen's Body's Beautiful, the Nourish and Shine by Jane Carter, the Shea Yogurt by Alec Naturals. Who else has a Shea Butter product? Those are the ones that I've used, so I can recommend those, but there might be some others. Definitely check them out. But a Shea Butter based product would be any moisturizer that has Shea Butter in it. Usually one of the very first 3 ingredients, if it's Shea Butter based, it'll be there. So I say Shea Butter it up. Shea Butter is a great ingredient to have in a hair product, especially a moisturizer, because it has vitamin A in it, it has vitamin E, which are great vitamins for the health of your hair as well as your body. And Shea Butter actually can repair damage, mend your hair, keep it shiny, keep it soft, which is something that you want in the fall and the winter months. And if you find that you're having some scalp issues like eczema, psoriasis, dermatitis on your scalp, Shea Butter is actually really good at calming and alleviating those type of scalp conditions, and it's great for protecting your hair against cool and cold winter, fall winds and the climate. My next tip would be give your ends TLC. I know a lot of people like to get their oil and they'll oil their scalp. You know, maybe your scalp feels dry or maybe it's kind of itchy and you'll oil your scalp, but you don't give that same level of TLC to your ends. Your ends are the oldest part of your hair and you got to take care of them. But in addition to being the oldest part of your hair, your ends are also the furthest part of your hair away from your root. Now, while you're greasing up your root, your natural sebum on your scalp is actually moisturizing your root and your scalp. So instead of dedicating so much time on the root and neglecting your ends, be mindful that the natural sebum, which is the oil on your scalp, cannot get to your ends. So you have to make that type of initiative and moisturize them. So when you're twisting your hair back up at night, or you're putting your hair up in that pineapple or that bun, or however it is you put your hair away, don't forget to take care of your ends, whether it be just slightly sealing them with some oil or rubbing some moisturizer on them as the very last step. Don't neglect them. Do not neglect them. They need TLC. If your hair starts breaking off at the ends, it's gonna work its way up, causing you major damage. So you wanna be proactive and make sure you are taking those steps with your ends to prevent long-term damage.
I mean, don't you want to look fly after the fall and the winter? You don't want some jacked up hair come springtime, you know? You gotta take care of it.
My next tip would be to make sure your hair fully dries before you leave out in the morning. So if you're doing wash and goes, you want to make sure you give yourself enough time for your hair to at least be somewhat close to being dry. I know it's really hard if you literally jump in the shower like 15 minutes before you get out the door. Some people do that. But I would highly suggest, if you're going to do your wash and go and you like to let your wash and go last several days, do your wash and go on a weekend or one of your days off, depending on when you have a day off, so that you know you can have time for it to dry in the house during the day, and that way during the week you don't have to go out with wet hair. If this is not an option for you, like the weekend or your day off or whatever it may be, just make sure you wake up a little bit earlier so that your hair can dry a little bit more. If you like to sleep to the last minute and everything that I'm saying is just not a part of your lifestyle, I would say get some help from like a blow dryer. Put a diffuser attachment, or you can put a concentrated nozzle attachment on, and that way you control where the air is blowing so it's not like blowing your hair all over so you get wild and crazy, but that will help you to dry your hair. And while I don't advocate heat styling, I think using a blow dryer in this way, where it's kind of like just to dry off your hair, is definitely okay. I will approve that. I don't approve the blow drying with the blowouts and all those things. I don't want you to go and do that, but just using the blow dryer to get that warm air in your hair to help you dry faster, I think is a plus for the fall and winter months. And like I said, that's only if you can't wake up early to do it, or you can't do it on one of your days off or the weekend. Don't go saying Jenell said I could blow dry my hair to get it dry and you have those other options, okay? My next tip would be, make sure you deep condition after every single shampoo. I highly recommend deep conditioning. I talk about this all the time. If you love shampooing your hair, then you definitely need to DC. And I don't mean love like you shampoo every day, because you know you should not be shampooing every day. I mean, if you like shampooing your hair once a week, you need to DC after every single one. Some of us do go much longer without shampoos. We do co-washes instead, and that's totally fine. But if you're shampooing, whether it be once every week or 2 times a month, deep condition after every single shampoo to give your hair the added moisture. And my last tip for the fall and winter months is get yourself some real satin or some real silk, girl. Yeah, stop playing. I recently made a video about my real satin bonnet by Flor Bella Boutique. And while she is not the only person who makes real satin bonnets, I suggest you either go to her, go to someone else, go buy real silk or satin, whatever it may be. But I say get yourself some real satin or silk. I am such an advocate for this now. I never used to really think about it before because I had no knowledge. I was ignorant to the fact that the satin caps in the beauty supply store were not real satin. They are like some type of nylon or some type of cheap polyester, and they are so porous, meaning everything can go through it, that all the moisture in your hair is not being protected in the same way that real satin and real silk would protect your hair. So I say get you some real satin or some real silk, and you will see that there will be a dramatic change in how long your hair can retain moisture. Instead of it being completely dry in the morning, you'll go maybe a full day, maybe 2 days, and maybe even a little bit more without having to moisturize excessively. So definitely want to get yourself some real satin and some real silk. And you'll know when it's real satin and real silk because it's a little bit more expensive. The material itself is higher quality, so it's not cheap to make. So they can't sell it for $2.99 in the beauty supply store. You may not even find a real one in the beauty supply store. You have to go to other resources. So don't skimp on healthy hair care. If you're willing to pay $30, $40 for products at Target, and you're willing to invest over $50, $60 in hair tools, it's the same thing. Go and get yourself a real bonnet, pay the extra little bit of money, but at a cost of saving your hair and your hair's health, okay? So those are my tips for the fall and for the winter months. Of course, my tips will have to be adjusted to your personal hair. Incorporate what I've said into your regimen. I ain't Jesus. My word is not the Bible. But after speaking to a lot of hairstylists, professionals, and doing a lot of research, I think that these tips will definitely be helpful for you and keeping your hair really healthy and really manageable during the fall and winter months. Please subscribe to my channel. I put out videos every couple of days. If you have any questions, leave them below. And as always, I love you for watching. Bye.